Hello and welcome. My name is Chris.
I'm Chip.
And I'm Brian.
And this is the very first episode of the Doctor's Brew Battle Royale.
Wow.
I know.
Exciting.
Careful.
Oh.
So you might notice with this inaugural episode, we've changed up the color scheme. This is not because of the beer. It's just a little something. And then the format is going to be we're gonna look at 3 different beers, and I think we'll taste them as well.
Thank goodness.
And then we'll talk about them. We'll try them, and at the end we'll figure out who the Doctor's Brew Battle Royale King of the Ring is. I know we're borrowing heavily from wrestling terminology. You're going to have to forgive us because wrestling is fun.
Mm-hmm. So what's different about these beers?
So these that we're doing today are all, as you can tell from the screen, non-alcoholic beers.
Mm-hmm.
So for years, when people think non-alcoholic beers, they think something like O'Doul's, Old Milwaukee, I think there's a Bush NA, things like that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of not taken seriously. But in the last 5 to 10 years, there have been some amazing strides. What breweries used to do previously is they would brew regular beer and then they would just boil it until the alcohol boiled out of it, and then they would carbonate it and can it and go. But we have...
It just sounds not good.
It sounds like a byproduct.
Right.
Yeah.
Gross. But we have craft breweries that are exclusively doing non-alcoholic beers that are coming up with their own ways to simulate the taste of beer and the feel of beer. It has that feel in your mouth when you take a sip that you know it's beer, right? So I was doing a little bit of reading, and what I found interesting is that while non-alcoholic beers make up about 5% of the beer volume sold worldwide, this category has grown at 3.9% on average for the past 5 years.
Wow.
Compared with a 0.2% increase in traditional beer.
Wow. I also read that one of the beers we're going to try here in a little bit is brewed in Colorado, and they market heavily towards
Like the active
marijuana
lifestyle.
users.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So because it's legalized there, and I
Sure.
suppose that drinking alcoholic beverages and smoking or using marijuana is probably not good. So they're heavily marketing towards that type of drinker.
And another interesting point, Budweiser, so the owners of Budweiser, InBev, are saying that they plan to generate at least 1/5 of its global beer sales from low or no alcohol brands by the end of the year 2025.
Really?
Wow.
So,
What do you think the trend, or what's driving that trend?
I
Any
think
thoughts?
I have a couple, but I feel like I've been yapping for quite a bit so far.
Sure.
So if somebody else wants to jump in, please.
So I wonder if some of it is, we've seen kind of an uptick in health foods or products that are good for you.
Sure.
And in some ways, we hear about it on the local news, how the effects of excessive drinking can harm your liver. It can harm, other parts of you during your life. So I can imagine a lot of people who are younger are opting more towards beer that either is low alcohol or no alcohol at all, just for the social ability.
That
to
is
drink
not
beer.
going to wreck you 40 years down the line.
Right.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense.
It does. I'm actually kind of on that same trend The other thing that I was thinking is you have the up-and-coming generation that is having a tendency to be a little more active.
Mm-hmm.
They say if you're training, if you're working out, if you're into fitness, alcohol is not a good complementary beverage for that.
So if you're carbo loading, it's not a good.
Well,
carb.
but if we look at like the German Olympic team, for example, after they get done competing, they drink non-alcoholic beer because there are compounds in beer that are anti-inflammatories and things like that, and you still get that hydration because you don't have the alcoholic component to dehydrate you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very cool.
So what you're saying is after we have this beer, we can all become Olympians, right?
basically, yeah.
All right. I like it.
Don't we have to be Olympians before we drink it? Isn't that what he said? The German team does it after they...
It's semantics. A little fuzzy.
Whatever.
We lost
just change
something
the sequence
in the translation, I think. So, yeah. So today, what we've got is we have kind of one of the old standards, the old Milwaukee non-alcoholic malt beverage. The one which I believe Chip alluded to, the Gruvi IPA.
Yeah. And
then we have Wellbeing Brewing's Heavenly Body Golden Wheat. So, I think since the old Milwaukee is kind of the old standby, that's the one we're going to try first, and then hopefully we will go up the ladder instead of down.
Sure.
That's the goal, right? So, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's really a lot to say about Old Milwaukee. Everybody knows Old Milwaukee, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And you were doing a little bit of digging.
Yeah, so Old Milwaukee is currently owned by the Pabst Brewing Company, which you said is part of Miller Coors.
Yeah.
So it's a big beer company. It was first brewed, Old Milwaukee itself was first brewed in the 1930s as a value-priced beer by the Schlitz Brewing Company. In 1982, Schlitz...
it's their economy beer.
Yeah. Schlitz and the Old Milwaukee brand were acquired by the Stroh's Brewing Company. And that actually, there's a good book about the Stroh's family, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up at some point, but it's all about kind of the infighting and money problems that they had through the years between, I guess there were a couple of brothers maybe. So, but anyway, Stroh's and all its beer brands were acquired by Pabst in 2000.
All right.
So. Cool.
So, yeah, this is the Old Milwaukee non-alcoholic malt beverage.
Malt beverage. No.
That's what it says on the can. So, gentlemen, bottoms up.
All right.
You know, all things considered, that's really not too bad.
No. So, kind of to the point you alluded to earlier, Brian, about health, I've kind of experimented on and off with a lot of the NA beers that you can buy here in Iowa. I believe those are still under the same regulations as alcoholic beverages, so the state has to bring everything in, and then the state resells to everybody else in the state that sells. So you're kind of limited to what the state brings in. So I have looked at the Busch NA. I've tried the Klosterhaler. I haven't brought myself to try O'Doul's because it's just kind of scary to me.
Yeah.
I've tried Caliper. I've tried the Coors NA, which is actually not bad as well. And then the Heineken 0.0, the Heineken NA, just recently became available here, and that's decent too. But the Old Mill is one of the better ones you can get, and it's like $9.99 for a 12-pack.
And I'd say, like, if I were to describe this, I would say it's kind of your traditional American lager.
Yeah.
And actually, it's maybe even a little bit crisper than, like, I think if given the choice between Old Milwaukee NA and Bud Light, I think I would probably choose the Old Milwaukee NA.
I would agree with you. Yeah. So I've
as
been,
long as it's served really cold.
Right.
Yes.
That's kind of the key. So.
Which, kind of a side note, but if I remember right, I think Old Milwaukee was the first beer brand to ship its beer on refrigerated rail cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, like, they prided themselves on being the cold beer. Anyway.
Yeah. Cool. No, it's something where if I've been out and I'm mowing the lawn or I'm doing something in the yard, one of these
that's really
kind of
good.
Crisp, cold, and refreshing.
It works. Is it the same as popping like an IPA or something like that? No. But for somebody who's considering the health of his liver, it's not a bad option.
No. Was it O'Doul's that was the phrase is always what the beer drinker drinks when they're not drinking beer? Is that...
Yeah. And for me, that's coffee. But
for me, it's pop.
Yeah.
But, I don't drink coffee. I don't like hot beverages.
Oh.
Which is what I like.
That's fair.
Beer really
that's
cold, usually.
That's fair.
Unless it's a stout, then a little more.
All right. Okay, so we've had the Old Milwaukee.
Yep.
And now I think we're going to move to the Groovy. Sorry, did you have something,
Yeah.
Brian?
I mean, do we want to rate what we thought of this beer now, or do we want to wait until?
I think we keep our cards close to our chest, and then
Sounds good.
Then we have a.
I didn't get any cards.
Oh, sorry. It's figure speech.
Oh, okay.
And then we can hash it out at the end.
All right.
So,
Sounds good.
Anyway, Groovy. This is the one, Chip,
Well
that
played.
you mentioned. Out of Colorado, right? You said?
Yeah, it's out of Colorado. Let me pull up what I found out about
Yeah.
it. There was not a lot about it. It's a Denver-based craft, non-alcoholic beer and wine company.
Explains why I found it in Fort Collins when I was out there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
It's gained retail and restaurant distribution in over 150 locations throughout Colorado. Kind of the Denver metro, it sounds like.
While you're reading, I'm going to start pouring.
Oh, good call.
Yep. So it says Gruvi styles now include a non-alcoholic IPA, Berliner Weiss, and Prosecco. I don't know what that is even.
Prosciutto?
Prosecco.
No idea.
Me neither.
So, I don't know. I thought Brian might know. But
I've heard of it.
He's the fancy of the three. So.
yeah, he is. But
Oh yeah,
it's really there's not a lot about it. There's not a lot out here about it
there isn't.
other than they're in Colorado and
I
they
don't know
apparently
why-
market to.
My first thought was like club soda, but I don't think that'd be right.
Ooh, that's kind of strong.
I mean, it smells like an IPA.
It smells hoppy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, let's flip back.
Ooh.
So
I'm causing all sorts of problems over here.
Brian.
I know.
it's fine. It's fine.
All
Just
right.
don't stick your elbow in it.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think we can see it on the screen.
That's fair.
So this is cloudier than the Old Mill.
It is.
It looks like almost like a wheat.
The nose is definitely
Hoppy.
hoppy. I mean, it smells IPA to me.
It does. Interesting. I was expecting more bitter, more of an IPA
Yeah.
taste on
Yeah.
the back end.
Well, I mean, and it's thin. It doesn't have like
Mhm.
that full consistency texture that a beer would have.
But it says 0% alcohol, 100% beer.
Now, I guess
Why
the-
does this say brewed in Canada, but they're a Colorado?
I wonder if the Denver
Oh.
company maybe devised the idea, came
Maybe.
up with the recipe, and then
And
like
part of it, yeah.
contracted somebody
Could
out
be.
in Canada to just brew and distribute.
yeah.
We talked about a couple of those a while
Right.
back, I think, for like Aldi and Walgreens and things like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
contract breweries.
Yep.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's maybe what's going on here.
I'm finding this one not to be very groovy, but
No,
it's not
no.
my thing.
I will say, I've often wondered, all right, can I drink one of these at work? My office has a,
Why don't you try it?
well, it says 0% alcohol, 100% beer. We don't allow beer on the premises, but it also specifies you can't have anything with alcohol.
Well, you could drink the
So-
old Milwaukee's a malt beverage.
Oh, it's a malt
There you
beverage.
go.
That's
So
good
there's
point.
your loophole.
Good point.
And I don't think the Wellbeing says beer, but we'll get to that in a minute.
All right.
It's a malt beverage as well. Yeah, this one's not my favorite.
No. It's a little. It tastes too watered down, I think.
It does. And actually, it kind of
tastes-
has.
I feel like it's got a chemical taste.
And
to
almost
it.
almost
Like
a little skunky.
Yeah.
That could be. Yeah. I will say this one only has 60 calories, which
Right.
is a pretty light
I mean,
beer in
sure.
general.
Yeah. What was the old mill? That didn't say.
I don't know. They wrote white on the white, so it's
Yeah.
very hard to read.
Clearly,
Clearly,
it says
old
58
people.
calories.
58, really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So,
So are we
So
we
right
saying
now
right now the Old Mill's in the lead?
yeah,
Okay.
for me.
I'm
But, you know.
marking my scorecard over here.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
don't
that's
look.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So let's talk about Wellbeing. Chip, if you got something pulled up, feel free. Otherwise, I might have it here as well.
Wellbeing, what I read about a man named Jeff Stevens was the founder of Wellbeing Brewing,
Mm-hmm.
and he says he's a non-alcoholic, that he quit drinking alcohol quite a few years ago, and he kind of developed this to market.
I got a point after you're done.
Okay.
Hmm.
To market to non-alcoholic people that were more concerned. They wanted to have the enjoyment of drinking a beer, but
Yeah.
non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
So
I think that's another. We talked about what would drive people to drink an NA beer.
Mm-hmm.
People who are recovering alcoholics.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mhm.
really like the taste of beer. They can't have it for obvious reasons. this gives them something that they can still enjoy in the comfort of their homes, something that they can buy when they're out with friends. I mean, things like that doesn't exclude them.
That's a very good point.
All right, so this one is...
I don't know about Gruvi, but I mean, certainly Old Milwaukee makes alcoholic beverages, but it's kind of a novel approach that they're, this entire brewery is just...
Yeah, so this one...
they're really going for
and I don't know if
niche
you
market.
said this, but they're out of Missouri, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, they had some
I didn't see that
St.
on
Louis
there.
publicity kind of on their website.
Yeah. But, yeah. Okay, so this one, we went with like your straight lager ale. We had one that was an IPA theme. This one's more of like a wheat, like a boulevard.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I can catch some citrusy wheat in here.
Mm-hmm. I definitely get wheat out of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I would say this is a definitive wheat.
Yeah.
Malt
I mean,
beverage.
Wheat malt, but thank you. I almost said
Yeah.
the B word.
I mean, I think for the most part they nailed the flavor profile.
Yeah, they did.
Mhm.
Again,
It's good.
it's a little watered down, but
Yeah.
nowhere near as much as the Gruvi, and I think it's...
No. No, I like that one.
Yeah, that one's really good. Now, we did kind of sabotage our taste test because we didn't cleanse the palate between
That's
the
a
beers.
good point.
That's true.
So, since this is episode 1 of the Doctor's Brew Battle Royale, we'll be sure to add that
We'll
as
get
an
better at
enhancement.
Sounds good.
So this one is 68 calories.
Okay.
So it's leading in the caloric
Leading in the-
content.
Okay.
But not. I mean, they're all pretty similar.
Right.
So
All right. So, now it's time. Who is the Doctor's Brew King of the Ring?
Oh, that's a really good question.
well, Groovy's out. It's
Yes.
my third choice.
Yes,
So,
I think that
would
so
be
now it's kind of
safe
down
to
to the
say.
other.
now it's time to the other two.
Yeah, and
So-
they're pretty close in my
They are.
book.
I almost feel like they're both. Okay, I'm gonna be that guy, but I think they're both good in their own right.
Yeah.
And I'll at least make a case for both. If it's a really hot day out, I would definitely opt for the Old Milwaukee. But if I'm going out with my friends at the bar and both of these were available, I'd probably lean for the Golden Wheat.
That's fair.
It seems like
Yeah.
if I'm going out and having something that is a more fulfilling beer
Something that you're
experience,
gonna have with the
Yep.
meal. or
I would
have
go with
anything else.
the Heavenly Body.
Sure.
I think that's the way I'm gonna lean too, is towards the Heavenly Body. I like the Old Milwaukee just fine, but
Yeah.
I've always been kind of a wheat beer fan.
Yeah, yeah.
I enjoyed like the Hefeweizen and things like that. So,
But
I would definitely give that one just not by much, but
Mhm.
just a bit like a nose.
Cool.
Oh, awesome.
I'm also gonna go with the Heavenly Wheat. I think it comes closest to mimicking what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
And this is something where, I mean, if he will bring it up for everybody to see,
There we go.
but I mean, if you look at it, right? I mean, it looks like a craft beer,
Yep.
and
And
I
it is
think
technically a craft
it is-
beverage.
it's
Mhm.
it's made in a craft brewery.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think this is my pick as well.
That said, if I can say miscongeniality or the biggest surprise, I'm still really surprised how much I like the Old Milwaukee. I thought that was
Yeah.
going to be kind
Yeah.
of a bust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that like my dad's beer,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
or that or old style, or something
Mm-hmm.
kind of Midwestern and guys in their
Grain
70s drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grain
Yeah.
Belt.
No, Grain Belt is a premium beer now. Did you know that?
Is
It
it?
is kind of. Yeah, I see it a lot.
It's
of
coming
places
back.
now.
You're right.
So there are a couple other craft breweries that specialize in non-alcoholic beers that we did not sample. One of them is Athletic Brewing. They actually make a stout, which I'm very interested to try.
That would be something different.
That'd be really different.
So
If you could find like 3 non-alcoholic stouts, that would be a fun episode.
that would be. We might have to
Yeah.
do that.
Or even 2.
Chris, can you
if
find all
find-
3 of those?
It would be. So here's the problem with
Oh.
some of these. Like
They're hard to find. Or...
they're expensive. So a 6-pack is like $12.
Ouch.
And then on top of that, if you can't buy them locally, you have to pay for shipping, which is because of the weight of a 6-pack is not not cheap.
I will say that I did see Heavenly Body on Amazon.
Oh, really?
So I think
was it Prime free shipping?
That's a good question.
Ooh.
I mean, that would be a pretty good deal.
Well, if they start that distribution center there, in Bondurant, then
well, you could have a drone
just
deliver it to you in a week or in a couple hours.
Deliver right here.
Yeah.
We could open up the window, it could fly in,
That's
deposit the beer on Captain America's shield, and leave.
Yeah,
That'd be
amazing.
We know somebody with a drone.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
No, that'd be fun.
Anyway, so our clear winner, well, not clear, but our decided winner is the Heavenly Body Golden Wheat by Wellbeing Brewing. You can find them at wellbeingbrewing.com. And if you go out there, there is a tool where you can look to see if a store near you sells.
Nice.
So,
where did you find it? Was this one you found in Colorado?
I found this, well, I'd been reading about them, and then we went out to Fort Collins, and I used that tool, and I was like, oh my gosh, there are 3 places right here close that sell it.
Nice.
That's cool.
So, yeah. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if this is going to get you to go out and buy a non-alcoholic beer, but if it's something you've been considering, I think we urge you to give it a try.
Absolutely.
Save your liver.
Try something new.
Yeah, but don't do it at the expense of your taste buds.
Yeah.
So, if you like what you heard, go ahead and click that subscribe button below the video. We would love to be able to let you know when we have new content coming. If you are interested in checking out more about us, you can find us at www.tardiscast.com. And once again, my name's Chris.
I'm Chip.
And I am Brian.
And we will see you next time.